So this is my mid-2009 13-inch MacBook Pro, a computer that hasn't received any updates from Apple in over 6 years. Officially, it's maxed out at OS X El Capitan, but today we're going to be putting Sequoia on this thing because despite what Apple may tell you, that's actually possible. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So if you know anything about getting new macOS versions to run on super old hardware, you've probably already guessed that this video is going to make use of the legendary OpenCore Legacy Patcher, something that I have yet to try out, but from everything I hear, this software is incredible. It makes use of the OpenCore bootloader and is capable of patching macOS installers to get these newer releases running on old, officially unsupported machines. And I do mean old. We're talking MacBook Pros from 2008, Mac Minis from 2009, even iMacs from 2007. Yeah, the year the original iPhone came out. And the best part is, it's pretty easy to do. Well, it should be anyways. I mean, you know how things typically go on this channel, so I'm not holding my breath, but all you have to do is head over to the website here, verify if your Mac model is compatible, read through the instructions, and download the Patcher application. Now, depending on what system you're wanting to install this on, you might be able to do everything right from that machine. The Patcher application requires OS X Yosemite to run, but if you want to make an installer for macOS Ventura or later, as you probably will, you'll need El Capitan. My mid-2009 currently doesn't have any operating system on it because I put a blank SSD in this thing to hopefully get some faster performance when we install Sequoia on it. So that's why I'm doing this first part on my modern MacBook Pro. But anyways, once you get the patcher downloaded, you're going to want to plug in a USB drive to set up the installer on, which I'm not going to be able to plug into this thing without a good old-fashioned dongle, and thankfully, today's video sponsor Ugreen sent one over for me to use, along with some of their Uno charging accessories for all of your mobile power needs. Their Uno Charger 100W can charge a 16-inch MacBook Pro to 43% or an iPhone 16 to 57% in just about 30 minutes, and is what I'm using right now to power this laptop. But you don't have to settle for just one device because you can plug up to 4 cables into this thing at one time. It supports both fast charging and smart power distribution, and since it has both USB-C and USB-A ports, it can work with those older cables that you still have lying around. If you don't have an outlet nearby, they've got you covered with their Uno wireless power bank 15W, which can charge your phone just by popping it on top. It's also got a built-in stand so you can prop your phone up while charging, and since it's magnetic, you don't have to worry about it falling off. It's packed with a 10,000 mAh battery and even has a USB-C port on the side that can be used to charge a phone the old-fashioned way. My absolute favorite feature of these accessories, though, are the little faces that show up on the screens, especially this really smug one when your device is fully charged, because it makes them look like little guys. I mean, the charging brick even has these boots that cover the power prongs. So click the links down below to pick up your own fast and fun charging accessories for your new iPhone and other devices, and huge thanks again to Ugreen for making this video possible. So I have not downloaded the patcher yet, so we're going to click on Getting Started from the main page, go to Download and Build macOS Installer, and then OpenCore Legacy Patcher Release Apps, and this is the whole process you're going to want to read through just to get familiar with it. But we'll click here, and the latest version as of this video is 2.1.2. We're going to scroll down and download just the OpenCore Patcher.pkg and run through the installer. So now we'll just go to our applications and open it up. And now we can click on Create macOS Installer, and we're just going to download one. This is another functionality that this program has. I mean, aside from all the patching stuff, it can just download macOS Installer applications right from here. We can even show old versions and go all the way back to Big Sur, but we're just going to uncheck that and just get Sequoia here. So we'll download. And once it's finished downloading, it's going to ask us if we want to make the macOS installer, which of course the answer is yes. And we're going to choose our USB drive here, and we'll erase it. And we're done with that. Now you can see the build and install OpenCore option is grayed out. That's because we have to click on settings here and change target model to our Mac model. So I'm going to select MacBook Pro 5,5. And you've got some options in here. I'm going to definitely check verbose boot just so we can see if any problems do arise, we can see exactly what's going on. And I think everything else should be fine. So we're going to click on return and then build and install OpenCore. And we'll say install to disk and choose our USB flash drive again and choose the one volume on it. And we're done. That's all there is to it. So now we're going to do what it says and eject the USB drive, pop it into our old Mac, and get this show on the road. Alright, so we've got the USB drive plugged in. We're just about to power on the machine, but there is one more important thing to talk about, and that is USB device support. So back in macOS Ventura, Apple actually removed support for USB 1.1 from the operating system, which is noteworthy because that's the protocol that is used to communicate with the built-in keyboard and trackpad on these older MacBooks here, which means that if we just power this on and boot off the USB into the installer, it's not going to recognize either of those, and we're not going to be able to get through it. Now, you might say, okay, just plug in an external keyboard and mouse, right? Problem solved. Well, not entirely, because these USB ports are basically configured to utilize either the USB 2.0 or USB 1.1 protocol, depending on what device you have plugged in. And when you plug in a keyboard or mouse, it defaults to USB 1.1. So we have to force it to use USB 2.0, and that's accomplished by using a USB 2.0 hub like I've got here. So I'm going to plug this in, plug my keyboard and mouse into here, and then we can run through the installer and afterwards apply some patches to allow the built-in keyboard and trackpad to work again. So upon boot up, you want to hold down the Option key to get to this menu, and we're going to select EFI boot and then install macOS Sequoia. And of course, since I selected verbose boot, we're going to get all that going on here. Now, let's talk about system requirements for a second. Because Apple just, gives you a list of the supported Mac models that can run macOS Sequoia, they don't have an official set of system requirements. But from what I've read, people generally recommend you have at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is actually the maximum amount that you can put in this MacBook, and that's what I've done. So we're going to see what kind of performance that we get out of this. So here we are, and you can see our mouse pointer is moving around, so our mouse is working, which is awesome. We're of course going to first hop into disk utility here, select our internal drive, and we're going to partition that. And we're going to choose APFS for the file system, and we'll just call this Macintosh HD, or Macintosh SSD actually. Let's be specific here. And there we go. So we'll say done, close out of that, go to install macOS Sequoia, continue, and let's see if this is just a smooth, simple install. So we're going to click on continue again. Go ahead and agree to that license agreement. We're going to totally read and select our newly partitioned Macintosh SSD. And we're off. And I imagine this is going to probably take, oh, well, hey, it's not going to take 42 minutes at least. But it's going to probably be a little while. So I'll be back when something interesting happens. Alright, so it's been about a half hour, 45 minutes, and I did step away from the computer, so I saw it restarting. I came back to check on it a couple times, but then we just got to this screen here that says an error occurred while preparing the software update. So we're just going to click OK and see, what's going on here. It's come up with choose a startup disk. It doesn't look like there are any startup disks on here. I guess it's still going on in the background here when we got the macOS Update Assistant open. And yeah, I'm just going to close out of this, I guess. It said that this failed, so I don't think it's going to do anything. Let's just let's close out of this and just restart it. If it installed properly, we should be able to boot up off the hard drive. It might have just defaulted to booting off of the USB drive. So let's just hold down the Option key here, go into EFI boot, and okay, so we have install macOS Sequoia and macOS installer. So this is what we booted off before. I guess we have to boot off of this now. So it looks like it hasn't finished the entire installation process. I'm hoping we don't have to restart that whole thing. But honestly, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we had to. Okay, I saw it on this screen before, when I came back to check on it, and then when I stepped away again and came back, it was on the screen that you just saw earlier where it gave that error message. So, I guess we're just gonna let it do its thing here and see if we finish the install. And it looks like we're restarting or something. And again, we get macOS installer and install macOS Sequoia. So we'll go with the macOS installer again. I hope we're not caught in a loop here. Alright, apparently the system is shutting down again. So, yeah, that's great. Maybe it's supposed to happen. It might just be restarting again, just had to do some stuff and then we'll be able to boot. I don't know, let's see. Oh, there it is, Macintosh SSD. Alright. And would you look at that? So, yeah, if you were wondering, the trackpad still does not work. So, I mean, we have to go through here and get to the desktop before we can apply the patches for that. I'm already noticing a little bit of the system slowing down here. I mean, the mouse pointer kind of froze for a second there. But, yeah, we're gonna say not now into the accessibility stuff. Now, you can see it has not detected the Wi-Fi adapter at the moment. So I believe we have to run through some of that post-install stuff to get that to work. So we'll just say Ethernet for now. I mean, we don't have this thing connected to the internet at the moment. I mean, I can if the patcher requires that. And yeah, it's not connected. We're just going to say continue. Interestingly, it has not loaded the proper background. We just have this solid white color, and you can barely see the menu bar up here. Yeah, why don't we share Mac Analytics with Apple? They'll get a kick out of this, I'm sure. And we're definitely go in dark mode. All right, continue. Oh, that was a bit of a glitch out window there for a second. Welcome to Mac. Continue. Oh, man. Whew. All right, here's the desktop. Still definitely experiencing some slowdowns here. Again, not very surprising. We got the dock. All right, it's slowly loading up the desktop. I think that the OpenCore installer is supposed to just automatically start up and start doing the patching, or at least prompt you to start doing the patching. I mean, we just haven't fully logged in here, so we're going to give it some more time. Okay, well, the system seems to be completely booted up here, and like we can open up windows and stuff. So I think we're going to have to just hop into Launchpad and manually start the OpenCore Patcher, which, is it not on here? Yeah, I thought it was supposed to install the patcher on here. I guess not. Yeah, it says on the website that it's supposed to, if you create the install media from the OpenCore Legacy Patcher, it should come up with a prompt when you first boot into it and apply the root patches. I don't know why I'm opening up Finder there, but it doesn't even look like it installed the application. Maybe that's because, you know, it like errored out that one time. That could have screwed something up, but I've got the patcher copied over to this USB drive here, so we're just going to eject the install media, and we'll put in this other USB, and we'll install it, and we're going to click on Post Install Root Patch. So it looks like it's only found Legacy Wireless, which is kind of problematic because it should show the USB 1.1 stuff, although I think we probably have to have this machine connected to the internet. I mean, let's see if the Ethernet adapter actually works. It did recognize it, but, you know, it could still not work. So let's go into settings. All right, it says we're connected. So let's try this again. There we go. That's exactly what it was. So now we've got graphics, networking. We have the legacy keyboard backlight and legacy USB 1.1. All right, start root patching. But I will say, it is great that it's got the wireless patch built in. That way, if for whatever reason your Ethernet didn't work, you could go through the wireless patching process, get that working, and then go back through the patcher again to get all this other stuff. Alright, it finished, and we are restarting. And I'm hoping that that graphics driver, you know, having that installed, will improve system performance a little bit. Because, yeah, I mean, you saw it was definitely having trouble there. And I think we actually need to have the installer USB in the USB port here, yeah, to be able to get the EFI boot option. So, alright, we'll select that and then boot off of our drive again. I think there's a way to fix that. We'll see. Yeah, I just looked it up. All we have to do is run through the OpenCore Patcher again and install it to the internal drive. And then we'll be able to boot without the USB. So we'll do that once we get booted back in. And would you look at that, right after restarting, it comes up and tells us exactly what I was talking about. We're currently using OpenCore from a USB drive. Would you like OpenCore Legacy Patcher to install it to disk? We're going to say, yes, we do. And yeah, by the way, you can see that the wallpaper actually loaded up now, and I'm already noticing it's just much better performance. I mean, look, I can open up the launch pad here. We're not getting any slowdowns or anything like that. So that's awesome. We want to select, oh, wait a second. Yeah, this is the external drive. Let's just go back to main menu here and just eject that. We might need to have this removed. Huh. Failed to find any applicable disks. Alright, well, someone on ye old Reddit suggested just making a FAT32 partition on here, and, you know, shrinking the size of the partition we're booted into. We're gonna make it MS-DOS FAT, and we'll just call this, I don't know, FAT. And we'll give it a, I mean, it has to be like really small here. We'll go like 590 megabytes. Oh, look, there it is. Yeah, it found it. And, okay, it found the FAT volume. I guess we can try to install it on that. I don't know if that's... Oh, it says copying OpenCore onto EFI partition. Okay, reboot to apply. Let's see if that did it. I don't have the USB in. So, if we get to that menu, we're golden. If not, we just wasted a bunch of time. Heck yeah, there it is. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you were wondering, the trackpad and built-in keyboard are working again, which is great. And if we go up here to Wi-Fi, you can see it's found a whole bunch of Wi-Fi networks. So I'm just going to leave this plugged in via Ethernet. We can pretty much close out of the OpenCore Patcher. It is still running here. We also got disk utility because I did leave this open. But yeah, we can just close out of that, and we can get out of the Legacy Patcher. And we are pretty much done. I do want to mess around with Sequoia a little bit on here and see, you know, how it works, or how well it works, rather. One thing I'm really curious to see is if we go into About This Mac, what this, you know, identifies the system as. But we just gotta wait for OpenCore Legacy Patcher to close here. But it's worth noting you can go into settings there and modify, like, for example, if you want to turn off verbose boot, you can do that right from in there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff to mess around with. But installing the operating system itself, as you can see, was really, really straightforward. So let's hop into About This Mac. It is showing a 13-inch mid-2009, so I guess it's just pulling that from the model identifier. But you can see all of our other specs are here. So we got that 2.26 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, the GeForce 9400M 256 meg, and 8 gigabytes of 1333 megahertz DDR3. Definitely want to go into dock here and turn on hide the dock. And we can also make it, you know, a little bit smaller maybe, and definitely increase, or turn on rather, the magnification. And yeah, that animation is actually pretty smooth. I do want to open up System Profiler though, or not System Profiler, Activity Monitor, because I'm just curious to see, like, when the system's idling, you know, what the percentages are at. Well, we had that huge spike in CPU usage when we had, you know, system preferences opened, or system settings, I should say. But you can see that we are idling at a much more reasonable percentage there, which is good. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine we can just move this over here to the side. Let's just go down here to the dock. Let's see just what, you know, doing the animations, how this, yeah, you can see that. Look at that CPU graph there. Definitely picking up a little bit. Let's open up Safari maybe. Of course, we're going to have a spike when that happens. And it looks like it's just finished loading the new tab page, so it's definitely tapered off there a little bit. Let's try to go to, oh gosh, we want to go to my YouTube channel and try and play something back on here. Yeah, I mean, we can, because this browser can totally browse modern YouTube, no issues at all.
So did you know that Nokia used to make Linux tablets? Apparently they still do, but today we're talking about...
What are we playing back in? Is this 720p? Oh no, we're at 360. Let's hop to, let's do 720/60 and make this full screen, just see how this does.
This little thing released on...
Oh yeah, that's totally fine.
It's not really something you would describe as a tablet these days. I mean, heck, even back then it was probably a bit of a stretch.
Isn't this weird seeing the shelf back here in the same table that's in the video? Yeah, this absolutely breathes new life into these systems. I mean, if you just wanted to repurpose one of these old machines as like a little web browsing device to maybe watch YouTube videos, I mean, you can totally go through here, and like I haven't noticed really any slowdowns. Once we installed that graphics driver, that changed everything. Prior to that, it was pretty unbearable to use. It was really having trouble keeping up, showing animations properly, but it has definitely improved, which, I mean, that's to be expected when you get proper drivers installed. I know that I always end up going to YouTube in these videos, but I just feel that's a pretty decent, sort of stress test because that's something that people would be doing, right? If you wanted to, like I said, breathe new life into the system to repurpose it, you'd probably be using it to watch YouTube and browsing the web and do an email maybe. Now, there are a couple of features that are non-functional that OpenCore Legacy Patcher cannot get working on these older machines, but they're both like not really that major. One is Apple Intelligence, the other is iPhone screen mirroring. Those are things that honestly I have no intention of using on this machine whatsoever, so that doesn't affect me at all. But yeah, I mean, there you have it, guys. That is how shockingly easy it is to install macOS Sequoia on a Mac from 2009. A 15-year-old computer, which is just nuts. So yeah, I'll have the link down below to the OpenCore Legacy Patcher if you'd like to check it out. But that is pretty much going to wrap up this episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.